सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारणम्.
As well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to day number 24 of the Purushottam Mass Challenge, and we're moving on to the third day of going over the summary study of the 14th chapter, 10th canto, Lord Brahma's prayers, Brahma's Stuti. So we've been going over the beautiful ways in which Krishna is teaching Brahma as his son, which we learnt last, which was one of the last points we learned yesterday. So let's catch the summary at this point. His own father, the original Narayan. So we see in Brahma Samhita, it's described how Krishna is a source of all of these incarnations, all the Narayan forms, even Ram. Ramarde mute sukala nigame natishtam nam nam akrada akroda bhuvanesha kintu Krishna swayam samabhavat parama pumanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajame. He says Ramarde mute sukala. These are all kala amsas. Ram, Narayan, Vishnu. These are all kala amsas, parts of the Supreme. But Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo. Krishna is Swayam, the original. So from this we can see Brahma, he really learnt this lesson because he had his own conception, being of the head of the Sampradaya, he doesn't have anybody above him to consult. So he thought what he knew was the best, because whatever Krishna revealed in the second canto, at the time of Srishti, at the time of creation, then he thought that is the highest revelation. But Krishna only revealed to him what he needed to know for the material world. Now Krishna is revealing to him what he needs to know and understand about the spiritual world, about love, about relationship. That was for his employment. This is for his well-being. So completely different revelations Krishna is giving him. What we see in the second canto and now what we're seeing in the 10th canto, two complete different revelations being given to the same person, Brahma. So the translation goes on. In this way, Brahma begged the Lord's forgiveness. Brahma then glorified the inconceivable opulence of the personality of Godhead. First, Brahma asked for forgiveness. Shama karo, Shama karo. I'm sorry, my Lord. This is what I thought it is. This is why Krishna forgives so easily, because he knows his illusionary energy is so powerful. You can't, because he knows his illusionary energy is so powerful, you can't surmount this. That's why he says in that 15th chapter we were reading, 15th chapter, 15th verse, this Purushottam Yoga. Sarvaschaham hridi sanivishto matta smitir jnanam apohanamscha. Matta smitir jnanam apohanamscha. From me comes matta smitir jnanam, remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. That's also coming from me. So we have to remember that Brahma is also in this material world, and his memory and his remembrance and his forgetfulness is all happening by Krishna. This is Krishna. But here he is using it to reveal to Brahma his spiritual nature, his spiritual relation with the spiritual world, with Krishna eternally. So Brahma first asks for forgiveness and then he glorifies the inconceivable opulence of Vrindavan. You must know what is the simplicity of Vrindavan. Being the topmost place, it must also be full of opulence. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha laksha prite shushurabi rabipalayantam. That this place is Chintamani Dham, is full of touchstone opulence. It's full of touchstone opulence and is kalpa taru, kalpa vriksha laksha prate, shushurabi rabipalayantam. There's wish fulfilling trees and cows, Shurabhi cows. So anything they want, they can get from this wish-fulfilling tree, right? You want to offer Krishna some special kind of milk, you just go to the wish-fulfill Kalpavriksha tree and it will give you anything you want. But they never ask anything from these trees, they do it themselves. This is love, this is relationship. They make the yogurt themselves, they churn the butter themselves. This is the sweetness of relationship. That although the opulence is there, Brahma has only seen one Lakshmi, right? The one who is serving Lord Narayan or Vishnu. But here, Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Lakshmi Sahasra, thousands of Lakshmis are serving here. It can't be a poor place. Vaikuntha is so opulent and there's only one Lakshmi there. Here, Lakshmi Sahasra, thousands of Lakshmis here. How opulent this place will be? Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. But the sweetness here is everything is handmade. Everything is handmade, therefore everything is made with love. Everything is imbued with love. In Vaikuntha, there is affection, there is awe and reverence. In Vaikuntha, it's awe and reverence. They worship God, and that person we're talking about with the big beard, he lives there. But not really, it's more awe and reverence. It's God. But in Vrindavan, everything is imbued with sweetness. Madhuram. Adharam madhuram, vadanam madhuram, nayanam madhuram, hasitam madhuram, hridayam madhuram, gananam madhuram, madhurati pate akhilam madhuram. That this place is just sweet. Everything is sweet about Vrindavan. Nayanam, Krishna's eyes are sweet. Krishna's lips are sweet. Krishna's eyes are sweet. Krishna's smile, hasitam, is sweet. Krishna's walk, gananam, is sweet. Everything about Vrindavan is sweet. So Brahma is gradually having this kind of revelation. So when it's based on relationship, when love is based on relationship, then ambience is very important. And this is Vrindavan. It's the expression of the love that these Brajbasis have for Krishna, and Vrindavan is the ambience of that expression. The ambience of that love is that Vrindavan brings out that relationship in its highest level by the mood of Vrindavan, the cows, the pasture land, and all the Brajbasis. So the ambience is based on the relationship with Krishna. This is a very deep point actually, because Vrindavan brings out the highest mood of the 5 rasas. Yesterday we were talking about how the Indra Leela gave rise to Govardhan Leela, and that the 5 rasas were all experienced in one Leela. So we see in this Leela as well that Lord Brahma had also brought out the 5 rasas in a very deep way, especially the Madhurya ras, which you least expect. And this is the relationship between Krishna and the gopis. So we see it was due to this Leela that the boys, the cowherd boys, got married to the cowherd girls during this time. So all the gopis were desiring to marry Krishna. And of course it's not possible. So during one Leela in Bandiravan, Radha and Krishna actually got married. They were very small at that time, and there's a beautiful Leela that happens there where they expand themselves into Kaishore feature, and Brahma does the wedding for them as well. He does. Brahma means the original Brahman. Brahma comes from the original Brahman, is Brahma. That's why Vedic Sanskriti or Vedic culture is so important to him. So when he's seeing Krishna holding this curd, yogurt and rice in the left hand, he's thinking, what is this? This is the Supreme Lord is holding in the left hand, yogurt and rice, food in the left hand. So he completely gets bewildered. But in that Leela, he does the wedding ceremony for Radha and Krishna. So the pastime is that Purnamasi could see that if Radha and Krishna get married, then there's no parikya ras. There's no relationship between the gopis and Krishna. So she stalled it at that time. She said, no, it's not now, it's not the time. So when this happened in this year, that Brahma stole all the cows and cowherd boys, then Krishna expanded himself as the cowherd boys. So in that year then, Purnamasi arranged the wedding. And so when the wedding was done, all the gopis actually married Krishna in that way. So we can see this only happened because of this Leela. So it's a very sweet, beautiful exchange. In the Madhurya Ras, we see in the Vatsalya Ras, the cows and the motherly gopis were all exchanging motherly love with Krishna, providing milk for Krishna. It was such a deep exchange that they loved Krishna more than their own children. Then we see in the Sakya Ras the friendship, that this whole Leela took place because of this. The boys were playing out and everything. And then of course the Shanta Ras and the Dasya Ras, the trees, everybody took part in this Leela. So we can see that this beautiful Leela gave rise to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan expressing their love to Krishna in a very deep way. So the summary goes on to say, and describe the ways in which Brahma and Shiva differ from Lord Vishnu. So we see this in the Brahma Samhita. He also brings out this point. Khiram yatati vikara vivishesha yogat sanjayate pritaga ita hasti heto yat shambhuta apitata samopartikaryat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajame. So he describes that just like milk can be turned into yogurt by adding acid, then just like that from Krishna, Lord Shiva comes. But from yogurt you can't make it back into milk. So we can see that Lord Shiva can be made from Krishna, but he can't go back. Whereas Krishna is the source. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. So we see that in this form, and towards the end of the Krishna book, the 90 chapters in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, the last 5 chapters deal with Vrikasur, where Shiva got into trouble with that demon and he went to help to Krishna, helped him with that. And also when Vishnu stole the son of the Brahman and Arjuna had to go and take a vow to find out who did this. And finally they found out that it was Vishnu. And they asked him, why did you do this? Because I wanted to take darshan of Krishna. So we can see that last 5 chapters of the 10th canto also glorify this aspect, that Shiva and Narayan, they're great, Vishnu, they're great, but Krishna is the source of them. Ramadde mute sukala nagamena tishtam. So the summary goes on to say, the reason for the Supreme Lord's appearance in various species of demigods, animals, and so on. So we know that the Lord comes to do dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So in doing that, he goes into all different species. Prahlad Maharaj says this, that the Lord goes into all different species of life. In all species, he has an incarnation. Prahlad Maharaj mentions this in the 7th canto. So the summary goes on to say, the eternal nature of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead and the temporality of the material world. So Krishna has 2 features of pastimes. One is called Naimatika and one is called Nitya. Nitya is his eternal pastimes and Naimatika is these pastimes that he has in the material world. So they're identical except for 2 features. One in the Naimatika, in the temporary pastimes in this material world, he has a birth and he has a way in which he disappears from this world. So there is no Krishna Janmashtami in the spiritual world. But here we can celebrate that. So it's special. So these two features are the difference, but otherwise they both are identical. So it goes on to say, by knowing the Supreme Personality in truth, the individual spirit soul can achieve liberation from bondage. So we see that Krishna is saying that in 4.9, we mentioned that yesterday as well. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvataha tyaktva puna janma naiti mameti so Arjuna. That if you get to learn about my birth and activities, then tyakva puna janma naiti, you don't take another birth in this world. What happens? You come back to me. And we see Krishna also says this in the 15th chapter. So he's saying tatvataha. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha. Understand me in truth. Tatvataha. So until we understand Krishna in truth, we're not going to understand Krishna. First we understand in tattva, and then we understand him in rasa. So without the balance of the boat, you don't understand Krishna. But it makes a very interesting point. It says, in actuality, however, both liberation and bondage are unreal. Remember, when we are striving for liberation, it's not out of love for Krishna. We want freedom from this material suffering. That's why. So when we're striving for this liberation, we want freedom from this material suffering. So it's got nothing to do with love. So understanding is one thing, and then acting in that understanding, relationship is something else. So Brahma had understanding about tattva, but he had no understanding. Remember, he was the one who went and called the Lord for the demigods, right? In the beginning of Krishna book, he went to the milk ocean and called for Brahma. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Moyanti Yat Suryaha. First verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Brahma, he was the one who called. So he knows Krishna in tattva, but he had no idea of Krishna in rasa. He had no idea. It was inconceivable to him what is Vrindavan and what is the mood of Vrindavan. So when we are aspiring for liberation, it is saying actually both are bondage. Because just by striving for liberation, we're not developing any rasa with Krishna. There is no relation with Krishna. We have no relationship in one of the 5 rasas with Krishna. Therefore, we actually cheat ourselves. Therefore, liberation falls short. Therefore, it says here, however, both liberation and bondage are unreal, for it's only from the living entity's conditioned outlook that this bondage and liberation are produced. So it's only from your perspective that it's liberation. It's only from your perspective that you're bound. But in actuality, you are an eternal servant of Krishna. So just like Krishna suspended the time for the cowherd boys when they were stolen, because when they came back, they realized, oh Krishna, that was quick. You went and got the cows and came back quickly. So similarly, all this will just be a dream to us when we go back to the spiritual world. So both liberation and bondage is unreal. Why? Because there is no relation with the Supreme Lord. Until we have a relationship in one of the 5 rasas with Krishna, none of this is real. Every other form of endeavor for liberation, the 5 liberations that are there, Sayujya, merging with the Lord, Sarupya, having the same form as the Lord, Salokya, same planet as the Lord, Sharshti, same opulence as the Lord, and Samipya, being an associate of the Lord. But all of those are based on your conditioned understandings. It's nothing to do with love. It's got nothing to do with Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the place of love. Vrindavan is the place of sweetness. You can't enter there otherwise. But with these liberations, you can enter to become close to the Lord, to become associate, same planet, all these things. But no relation with the Lord. No relationship, no sweetness. And with the 5 types of liberation, you come back to this material world. But relating with Krishna, Na yatat bhashate suryo nasasanko na pavaka yatkatvam na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. We learned this in the 15th chapter, Purushottam Yoga, that place there's no sun there is no electricity, it's not lit up by the sun. And when you go there, Yat Katvam Nanivartante Tat Dhamam Paramam Mama. That's my place and you don't come back here. All the other liberations don't promise that. But that place, you don't come back to this material world. So it goes on to say, thinking the personal form of Krishna is illusionary, fools reject his lotus feet and look elsewhere to find the Supreme Self. But the futility of their search is the obvious proof of their foolishness. So we see Krishna mentions this in the Bhagavad Gita. Abhijanati ma mudha manusham tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So he says, Abhijanati, Abhijnanati, they don't know. Abhigya, Abhigya means ignorance. Abhijnanati, Ma Mudha, these Muda, rascals, they don't know. What? Manusham Tanum Ashritam. They think I took Manusha, this human form, Ashrita, I took form from this human kind of form, I am conditioned like them. Parambhavam majananto. They don't know my parabhav, my higher nature. Parambhavam majananto. Ajnana. They don't know my higher nature. Which is that? Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all the living entities. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Maha Ishwara. I am the Supreme Lord of everything. So Krishna is even saying, this is how these fools are. They think I am also conditioned like them. Parambhavam, they don't know my higher nature. Parambhavam ajananto, they don't know. We want to relish the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes with his devotees, and here we're relishing the sweetness of Brahma and Krishna, how Krishna is relating with his devotee in this beautiful Leela of enchantment or Vimohan, bewilderment. So we'll end here today. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.